For pyramids, they've been telling us they are built in Egypt and Mexico, which is wrong, because they were built all over the planet. That almost everything they teach us about the ancient history is wrong. The origin of man, civilizations, and pyramids.
For centuries, Egypt's Great Pyramid stood as the ultimate symbol of ancient genius. But deep in the heart of Europe, a discovery is rewriting that story. In Bosnia, a hill once dismissed as natural is exposing secrets buried for millennia, perfect geometry, hidden tunnels, and a mystery that defies explanation. Could this be the work of a forgotten civilization? Join us as we uncover the astonishing evidence that may change everything we thought we knew about the world's first pyramid builders. The discovery. In 2005, a Bosnian-American businessman named Samir Osmanagic stood on a slope overlooking the small town of Visoko, 30 kilometers northwest of Sarajevo. His gaze was fixed on a hill known as Visočica. To the locals, it was just another part of the landscape. But to Samir, its starkly straight sides and unnaturally symmetrical peak suggested something else entirely. Something that, if true, could change the stories of the ancient world we thought we already knew. As he observed the hill, a single, radical question began to form in Samir's mind. What if this were not a hill, but a pyramid? Driven by this conviction, he ordered excavations, but what he and his team uncovered left them completely speechless. They had barely dug deep when his team uncovered what appeared to be the proof Samir was looking for. Under the topsoil were vast terraces of large, flat stone slabs, arranged in geometric patterns. Some ran in perfect right angles, others formed what looked like massive steps or retaining walls. To Samir, it was undeniable that Visočica was not a natural formation, but a pyramid. His investigation expanded. He claimed the structure was coated in an ancient, man-made concrete and, most strikingly, was perfectly oriented toward cosmic north, a precision he argued was impossible for a random act of nature. He renamed the hill the Pyramid of the Sun. Samir didn't stop there. Instead, his vision grew. He declared that the surrounding hills were part of a vast, sacred complex. Pleševića became the Pyramid of the Moon. Others were christened the Pyramid of the Dragon, the Pyramid of Love, and the Temple of the Earth. He proposed that these were the oldest and largest pyramids on Earth, built over 12,000 years ago. News of the discovery spread like wildfire. Local headlines heralded the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun. Soon, international media, from the BBC to the New York Times, arrived. Drawn by the sensational claim of a European pyramid that might dwarf Giza, Samir encouraged it all. He even went a step further and established the archaeological park, Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun Foundation, opening the site to archaeological volunteers from around the world. But in Visoko, the initial reaction was not enthusiasm, but skepticism. The Bosnian War had ended a decade prior, in 1995, leaving the country physically and economically scarred. Towns like Visoko faced shuttered factories and soaring unemployment. The world saw them through the lens of the recent conflict. The idea that their home concealed ancient, world-altering pyramids seemed not just absurd, but disconnected from their harsh reality. Then, the unexpected happened. Foreigners began to arrive. Archaeology students and researchers from Europe and the United States poured in. They spent money at guest houses, bought food at local markets, and treated Bosnians not with pity, but with awe and curiosity. Under the summer sun, they continued to research, unearthing slabs and mapping out tunnels. By 2007, more people started to arrive, this time, tourists and mystery seekers. And the war-ravaged town could now rebuild in the shadow of a supposed ancient wonder. Over the past 2 decades, Visoko has evolved. By 2025, the pyramids were contributing to a nationwide surge in tourism, with foreign arrivals up nearly 5% in a single year, helping to push tourism's share of the national economy toward a landmark 10% of GDP. But when we talk about pyramids, the first thing that probably comes to mind is the Pyramid of Giza. The Pyramid of Giza stands as the last remaining wonder of the ancient world, a unique monument that draws adventurers from across the globe. But what if it isn't unique? What if the rolling hills of Bosnia hold a secret so similar and on a scale so vast that it forces us to reconsider everything? Wonder versus wonder. For thousands of years, the Great Pyramid of Giza has been a wonder that continues to baffle the world. Every face of the pyramid aligns perfectly with the cardinal directions, with an accuracy so acceptable that modern engineers still struggle to replicate it. Using only copper tools and sightlines, the builders aligned it to within 1/15th of a degree of true north. NASA once compared that precision to firing a laser across 3 miles and missing by less than an inch. Across 13 acres, the base remains level to within a single inch, a feat so perfect it borders on mathematical divinity. The pyramid's height-to-base ratio mirrors the relationship between the Earth's radius and its circumference. Multiply its perimeter by 2 pi, and you get the planet's equatorial circumference. Coincidence? Perhaps, but coincidence doesn't carve perfection in stone. And then there is the sky. According to Robert Bauval's Orion correlation theory, the 3 pyramids of Giza mirror the stars of Orion's belt. Astronomical simulations show that around 10,500 BC, their alignment would have been flawless, when Orion rose exactly where the pyramids point, and the Sphinx gazed straight toward Leo, the lion constellation. Whether by chance or design, the monuments of Egypt are tuned to the heavens like colossal instruments of stone. Even today, new mysteries surface. In 2017, the Scan Pyramids project revealed a vast, hidden void above the Grand Gallery, a chamber 30 meters long, sealed for 1,500 years. Its purpose is still unknown. Under the bedrock, sensors detect unexplored tunnels and spaces beneath spaces, as if Giza were not a monument but a map. But across the continent, the pyramids in Bosnia are rivaling everything about the Pyramid of Giza. Samir Osmanagic did not simply present a strange hill. He made specific, jaw-dropping claims that positioned Visočica not as a solitary anomaly, but as a direct and superior counterpart to the pyramids of Giza. The most immediate and audacious claim was that of absolute physical dominance. Samir and his team announced that the Pyramid of the Sun stood at over 220 meters in height. This figure, if accurate, would instantly demote the originally 146.6-meter-high Great Pyramid of Giza to second place. The psychological impact of this cannot be overstated. Historians and archaeologists are known for their fascination with discovering the biggest or the oldest. This claim immediately grants the Bosnian site a potent, headline-grabbing supremacy. The second pillar of the argument moved from brute size to refined sophistication. Just as the Great Pyramid of Giza is famed for its near-perfect alignment to the cardinal points, the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun was claimed to be oriented with breathtaking precision toward true north. Osmanagic's team reported a deviation of just 0 degrees, 0 minutes, and 12 seconds. If this level of accuracy is deliberate, it would arguably surpass the alignment of its Egyptian counterpart. This was not presented as a coincidence, but as irrefutable proof of advanced astronomical knowledge. The builders, whoever they were, possessed a sophisticated understanding of the Earth's rotation and the cosmos, embedding this knowledge into the very fabric of their construction. Furthermore, the discovery of the other hills, which were later named the Pyramid of the Moon, the Dragon, and Love, allowed supporters to introduce the concept of sacred geometry. They argued that these structures were not randomly placed, but formed a precise geometric arrangement across the landscape, a gigantic celestial map or energy grid. This idea of an interconnected complex mirrored the relationship between the pyramids at Giza and resonated deeply with enthusiasts of archaeoastronomy and alternative history. Perhaps the most technologically shocking claim involved the very substance of the pyramid. Osmanagic asserted that the stone blocks covering the structure were not merely quarried and stacked, but were a form of ancient, man-made concrete. He described a process in which the builders poured geopolymer concrete in situ, creating the terraces in an efficient, incredibly durable manner. Initial analyses commissioned by the Foundation supported this. Reports from the University of Zenica and later from the Geodetsky Fakultet in Zagreb cited that the sampled blocks had a distinct microstructure and a hardness exceeding that of modern concrete. This claim was significant. It transformed the narrative from one about moving mountains of stone to one about creating stone. This is a high-tech process that suggests a lost science of material engineering and directly challenges the image of primitive ancients, proposing instead a culture with knowledge we are only just beginning to comprehend. By weaving together unrivaled scale, celestial precision, and advanced material science, Samir constructed a narrative that was both comprehensive and captivating. He presented Visočica not as a poor cousin to Giza, but as an older and more sophisticated prototype built by a civilization so advanced that its only legacy was these silent, geometric hills. For a world obsessed with mystery, the Pyramid of the Sun was impossible to resist. But its grand claims, layered in legend and ambition, have met a force as unyielding as the hill it stands on: the relentless, unforgiving precision of science. The unyielding Earth. When the global geological and archaeological community learnt about Samir's observations, they did not merely express doubt, they issued a unified point-by-point deconstruction of the pyramid claims, arguing that the evidence pointed to the powerful and mundane forces of geology. The most damning evidence against the pyramids comes from the rocks themselves. Geologists from across Europe identified the structures not as architecture, but as completely natural formations known as flatirons. These are not some rare or mysterious shapes, but standard features in mountainous regions around the world, from the Colorado Rockies to the Dolomites. They form when tectonic forces tilt layers of sedimentary rock, which are then eroded over millions of years. The steep sides form when more complex layers resist erosion, while the valleys are created when the softer layers erode more easily. As for the stone slabs, geologists who visited Visoko identified them as nothing more than naturally fractured bedding planes of the conglomerate rock. In layered sedimentary deposits, stress fractures the rock along parallel planes, creating the appearance of perfectly cut blocks. One can even see identical fracturing in road cuts and quarries worldwide. The claim of an ancient man-made concrete was a cornerstone of Osmanagich's argument. However, independent laboratory analyses told a different story. The material was identified as breccia, a natural rock composed of angular fragments of other rocks, cemented together by a finer-grained matrix. Geologists argued that what the foundation was presenting as poured concrete was, in fact, a natural cementation process that occurs over geological time under pressure. In some instances, the material was likely medieval mortar from genuine historical structures on the hill, later buried by erosion and landslides. The claim of perfect orientation to the cosmic north was also dismantled. Geologists demonstrated that the ridgeline of Vysochica is a direct result of the tectonic folding of the Visoko Basin. The region's underlying geological structure determines the direction of the ridge. Any apparent alignment is a coincidence of the local geology, not a feat of intentional engineering. The hills in Visoko are not devoid of history. The European Association of Archaeologists took the extraordinary step of issuing a formal declaration, stating that the pyramid project lacks any scientific foundation and condemning it as a cruel hoax on an unsuspecting public. They expressed grave concern that the uncontrolled excavations were actively destroying these authentic historical sites, erasing Bosnia's tangible cultural heritage in pursuit of a fantasy. Lamented one Bosnian archaeologist who wished to remain anonymous due to the charged public atmosphere. The scientific case was, and remains, a closed one for mainstream academia. The hills are natural, the evidence is misread, and the project is damaging. Yet as excavators dug into Bosnia's so-called pyramids, another team worked beneath the sands of Giza, and what they found would ignite an even deeper mystery. Hidden far below the ancient stones lay a vast underground world, more astonishing than anything ever discovered above ground. The world below. In 1990, American archaeologist Dr. Mark Lenner and his Egyptian counterpart, Dr. Zahi Hawass, uncovered something extraordinary near the Great Pyramid of Giza. Beneath layers of desert sand lie the remains of a city lost for millennia. Today, it is known as Hayt el Ghurab, the lost city of the pyramid builders. Spanning over 30 acres at the base of the Giza Plateau, the site dates to the reigns of Khufu, Khafra, and Menkaura, the pharaohs who built the Great Pyramids between 2400 and 2490 BC. What they found shattered an old myth. The pyramids were not built by slaves driven under the whip, but by skilled workers living in a precisely organized city. Broad streets divided the settlement, while long galleries, each about 30 meters long, housed groups of workers. Mud brick benches lined the walls, likely supporting 40 men per hall. Nearby stood massive bakeries producing thousands of loaves each day, and breweries large enough to brew nearly 4,000 liters of beer, the daily wage of the builders. Just south of the Great Pyramid lay the workers' cemetery. The graves were simple but respectful, bodies placed on their left sides, knees bent toward the sunset. Small offerings of clay jars, pots, and carnelian bead necklaces accompanied them. These were not slaves. They were honored citizens who earned their rest. Skeletons and artifacts revealed even more. The laborers came from across Egypt, from the Delta, Upper Egypt, and even Nubia. Many were farmers and craftsmen who joined the project when the Nile flooded their lands. Inside the sleeping quarters, archaeologists found pottery marked with team names and jokes. The drunkards of Menkaure, the friends of Khufu, proof of pride and camaraderie. Every discovery pointed to a vast, state-run operation, a logistical triumph. Limestone and granite arrived by boat from distant quarries. Donkeys carried water from nearby wells. Records from Wadi el Jarf, a port on the Red Sea, detailed shipping logs tracking stone deliveries across hundreds of kilometers. Excavations by Ancient Egypt research associates continue to reveal more. Drone and radar mapping have detected hidden walls, storage areas, and meat processing zones. In 2021, vast deposits of animal bones revealed large-scale food production that sustained the builders for decades. Workers rotated seasonally, their schedules aligned with the Nile's floods. These men and women weren't just laborers, they were participants in a sacred duty. To serve the pharaoh was to uphold Ma'at, the divine order of the universe. Every brick lifted, every loaf baked, was an act of devotion. Organized in 10-day shifts under royal overseers, their work was both service and faith. Over time, Hayt El Garab expanded alongside each pyramid project. Traces of honey and herbs in beer jars and tallies of rations scratched onto pottery bring their daily lives into focus. From above, the city's geometric layout mirrors the symmetry of the Great Pyramid, a reflection of the order that defined ancient Egypt. But if Bosnia's so-called Pyramid of the Sun truly stands taller than Giza's, reason suggests there should be something even greater around it, a settlement to match its scale. The Great Pyramid, just 146 meters high, was built by thousands who left behind homes, tools, bakeries, breweries, and graves. If Visoko's pyramid is taller, where are its workers, its ovens, its laughter, its dead? If the pyramids above ground face a settled scientific consensus, the Ravne tunnels beneath Visoko opened a new frontier, one buried in darkness and uncertainty. Here, in the cool, dim corridors, the mystery shifted from geology to something more elusive: purpose and belief. The tunnels are real, a network of underground passages winding beneath the valley. The foundation claims they stretch over 2.4 miles, and that the fill within them, thousands of tons of sand and gravel, was deliberately placed by ancient builders to preserve the complex. It was here that stories of healing energy began. Guides spoke of the tunnel's unique microclimate and high levels of negative ions, known to improve mood and air quality. Visitors reported sensations of peace, relief from pain, and a tingling energy in their hands. To believers, the tunnels became more than passageways. They were the living veins of a robust, energetic structure. Among the most mysterious finds are the massive ceramic blocks, smooth, heavy, and unlike any known ancient construction in the region. Their purpose remains unknown. These discoveries reignited the idea of a lost civilization, one that sealed its creation and vanished without a trace. Yet this absence raises the central paradox. The tunnels are the most tangible feature of the Bosnian complex, a place where one can physically step into the mystery, yet they reveal nothing about their creators. The silence of their walls contrasts sharply with the voices of Giza's builders, whose city still tells their story in every brick and bone. And so, the tunnels stand as both proof and puzzle, a space that invites belief but withholds identity. They whisper of purpose, yet conceal their makers, leaving the story to be carried not by evidence, but by humanity's enduring hunger for wonder. This leads to the final, most powerful layer of the phenomenon, the belief in the mountain's power to heal. The greatest proof of the pyramids is not carved in stone at all, but felt beneath the skin. The mountain that heals. Beyond the academic debates over stone dating and geological formations, a different, more personal narrative began to take root in Visoko, one that would ultimately prove more powerful than any scientific paper. It was a story not of who built the pyramids, but of what they could do. As tourist numbers grew, so did the anecdotes. Visitors began reporting strange, inexplicable sensations they had never felt before. The claims started subtly. A German tourist mentioned feeling a profound calm wash over her as she entered the Ravne tunnels. An Italian visitor described a buzzing energy in his fingertips that lingered for hours. A woman from Slovenia claimed her chronic migraine, which had plagued her for a decade, vanished completely during her 2-day visit. These stories, shared over coffee in local cafes and posted on burgeoning online forums, began to form a pattern. The center of this belief shifted from the sun-baked slopes of the pyramids to the cool, perpetual darkness of the underground labyrinth. Local guides, noticing the trend, began incorporating the language of energy into their tours. They spoke of the tunnel's unique energy field and pointed to the high concentration of negative ions, a measurable scientific fact known to improve air quality and mood. For believers, this was just the beginning of the explanation, not the entirety of it. The narrative expanded. The entire pyramid complex, they claimed, sat at the intersection of powerful ley lines, hypothetical channels of Earth energy studied in various geomantic traditions. The pyramids themselves were framed as massive energy amplifiers, and the tunnels were their nervous system, a network designed to conduct and focus this power. The stories grew more specific. Visitors with arthritis reported significantly diminished pain. Others spoke of emotional burdens lifting, as if the mountain itself had absorbed their anxiety and grief. Whispers circulated of improved fertility, regulated blood pressure, and a pervasive sense of well-being that defied medical explanation. For those who experienced it, the evidence was irrefutable because it was written in the flesh and bone of their own bodies. The scientific community, which had already dismissed the pyramids as a geological fluke, now turned its attention to the healing claims. Their explanation was both simpler and, in its own way, more profound than the theories of Earth energies. Their primary diagnosis was the placebo effect, one of the most well-documented phenomena in medicine. When a person believes, with genuine conviction, that a treatment will work, their brain can trigger a cascade of fundamental, measurable physiological changes. It can release endorphins, the body's natural painkillers. It can lower cortisol, a primary stress hormone. The reduced stress, the feeling of deep relaxation, the minor pain relief. These are all established outcomes of a powerful belief system, not evidence of mysterious energies. Geologists and environmental psychologists offered further context. They noted that the stable, cool temperature and high humidity of the tunnels create a sensory deprivation environment that naturally slows the heart rate and induces a meditative state, especially after a stressful journey or a hectic modern life. The sensation of energy could be the body's response to this sudden, dramatic shift in environment. Furthermore, neuroscientists would point to the power of awe, the overwhelming feeling we experience in the presence of something vast that transcends our understanding. Standing before a massive, mysterious structure or walking deep into an ancient feeling tunnel can trigger this emotion, which studies have shown can reduce levels of pro-inflammatory cytokines and create a genuine feeling of wellness. This healing, they argue, is generated by the magnificent, awe-inspiring capacity of the human brain, not drawn from the mountain. The actual, enduring mystery of Visoko may therefore no longer be what lies beneath its soil, but the unexplored territory of human belief itself, and its undeniable, often miraculous power to convince our bodies that the impossible is real. And if the tunnels could ease pain or lift despair, then what else might they be hiding? A secret technology, a lost purpose, a forgotten history waiting beneath the rock? The unending dig. The story of the Bosnian pyramids is unique in the annals of archaeology, not for its claims, but for its persistence. While mainstream science delivered its verdict and turned away, the investigation did not cease. It transformed. Under the aegis of the Archaeological Park, Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun Foundation, the site has become a permanently operating, peer-reviewed experiment where the peers are not tenured academics, but a global community of volunteers, independent researchers, and true believers. Their continuous work, season after season, over the past 2 decades, has created a parallel body of evidence that exists in a state of suspended animation, constantly growing yet universally ignored by the institutions it seeks to challenge. This enduring inquiry forces a profound hypothesis. What if this parallel track of research were one day validated? The confirmation of the pyramids would not be a simple addition to the archaeological record. It would be a corrosive agent, dissolving the very foundations of the field and forcing a painful, exhilarating rebirth. The first casualty would be the established timeline of human civilization, which would not be revised, but shattered. The neat, linear progression from hunter-gatherer societies in the Paleolithic to the first agricultural civilizations in the Neolithic Fertile Crescent, around 10,000 BCE, is a cornerstone of our self-understanding. A 12,000-year-old pyramidal complex in Europe, potentially older than the agricultural revolution, would render this narrative obsolete. It introduces a terrifying concept to archaeology, the possibility of a pre-glacial, sophisticated culture that achieved monumentality without, or before, widespread agriculture. This suggests a model of human history, not as a steady climb, but as a series of peaks and troughs, with entire civilizations rising and falling into utter obscurity during the last ice age. The Giza pyramids, at 4,500 years old, would suddenly look like the work of a young, recent culture, attempting to emulate a far more ancient and forgotten prototype. This leads to the most disruptive intellectual challenge, the out-of-place artifact on a colossal scale. The hill would become the ultimate OOP art, not for its material, but for its inferred knowledge. Its alleged perfect cardinal alignment and claims of advanced concrete technology imply a mastery of astronomy, geometry, and materials science that predates the supposed invention of these disciplines by millennia. Archaeology would confront a black box civilization. We would see the output, that is, the pyramid, but have no input, that is, the societal development, the prototypes, the failed experiments. This forces the acceptance of a dark age in human history, far more profound than the one between the Bronze Age collapse and the rise of classical Greece, a dark age spanning thousands of years that erased the very memory of a foundational culture. The confirmation would trigger an unprecedented crisis of methodology. Modern archaeology is built upon context, stratification, and cultural association. We understand the pyramids of Giza because we have found the quarries, worker settlements, tombs, pottery, and hieroglyphs that place them firmly within the context of pharaonic Egypt. The Bosnian pyramid, by contrast, would exist in a contextual vacuum. Its builders left no such trail. This void would force archaeologists to abandon their traditional toolkit and become forensic detectives of a different sort. The focus would shift from cultural artifacts to the structure itself as the primary text. This would necessitate a radical multidisciplinary fusion. The investigation would no longer be led by archaeologists with trowels, but by teams of materials scientists to deconstruct the alleged concrete and understand its atomic structure and manufacturing process. Geophysicists and engineers to model the structural integrity and purpose of the building, analyzing its response to seismic activity and planetary energies. Astrophysicists will verify its alignment precision and model the prehistoric sky to understand its potential celestial purpose. The very definition of evidence would expand from pottery shards and carbon-dated organic remains to include data on electromagnetic anomalies, sonic resonances, and subatomic particle flows. Archaeology would be forced to mature from a humanistic discipline into a hard science. Beyond the practical, the confirmation would ignite a philosophical firestorm. It directly challenges the deeply ingrained narrative of linear human progress. The term Stone Age would become a misnomer, revealing itself as a label of ignorance for an era we simply do not understand. It lends credence to theories advanced by figures like Graham Hancock, who posit a lost, advanced civilization wiped out by a cataclysm at the end of the last ice age. This catastrophist model of history would have to be integrated with, or even replace, the prevailing gradualist model. Furthermore, the purpose of such a structure would be thrown open. If not a tomb, then what? The energy theories, currently relegated to the fringe, would demand serious consideration. Was the structure a power plant, a communication device, a geomantic anchor designed to harmonize terrestrial energies? The divide between hard science and spiritual belief would narrow, as both would be needed to hypothesize the function of a technology so advanced it appears magical. On the ground, the impact would be immediate and immense. Visoko would transform from a tourist curiosity into the most important archaeological site on the planet, a new mecca for scientists and pilgrims alike. The funding, scrutiny, and debate would be overwhelming. For Bosnia, it would become a source of immense national pride and a powerful new identity, permanently shedding its war-torn image for that of the cradle of civilization. In the final analysis, the unending dig in Visoko is more than a search for stones. It is a persistent, physical question mark placed against the narrative of our past. Whether the hills are ultimately proven to be natural or artificial is almost secondary to the profound effect they have already had. They have exposed the fragility of our historical consensus and demonstrated the powerful human need to look beyond it. They hold a mirror to our own dogma, asking us not just who we were, but whether we dare to find out. Thanks for watching. Now check out the videos popping up on screen for more unbelievable stories.